Zone 2, the magic zone. Here are all the benefits of Zone 2 cardio and how you can utilize it. The benefits come along with the why we prescribe it, why this is so important. There's three main people that I'm going to be prescribing Zone 2 cardio to. Number one, fat loss clients. Fat loss people who are trying to lose weight, or in the shred, or in the cut. Zone 2 is a secret weapon, and I'm going to show you how and why to do it. Second person, athletes who already have a packed training week and wants to improve their cardiovascular fitness. They likely don't want to or can't include any more running into their schedule. Zone 2 cardio on like a cross trainer or something like this is low impact and can be easily injected into the week. Third person is just anyone wanting to improve fitness, endurance, stamina. All right, let me rattle off the benefits of why Zone 2 is so good. Number one, it is extremely low fatiguing. You can accumulate many minutes into the week and not cook yourself so you can sustain these efforts week in, week out, which we absolutely love if you are on low calories. So if you're an athlete and you are having lots of calories and fueling yourself, you may be able to sustain lots of efforts for training, basketball, football, netball, lots of running, and even then it's still going to be fatiguing and you need to take periods of deloading and reducing that. Zone 2 cardio on the modalities I'm going to show you, you can do so much during the week. I myself am currently doing 50 minutes per day. There's no way I'd be able to run for 50 minutes per day each week, maybe 1 week, and I'd be cooked by the end of it, and there's no way I'd be sustaining it. Number two, this improves your aerobic base. This means that you can sustain efforts for longer and then at higher intensities. Three, the fat burning zone. Now, we use that term. It's not entirely true because if you're in the fat burning zone, but you are having 5 burgers a day and 2 bowls of ice cream, it really doesn't matter. You're still going to be putting on fat. However, if you're in a deficit, you very much can and should think of it as the fat burning zone. It is that magical. So when we're doing cardio, there are 5 zones of heart rate. Pretty self-explanatory. Zone 5 is the highest. You can only sustain these efforts for like 30 to 90 seconds. So if I was in a basketball game, wouldn't even be in zone 5 the whole time. Only when I'm doing like full court sprints would my heart rate elevate into that 5th zone. We would do lots of training there if you want to improve fitness, VO2 max. There's lots of benefits there, but we are concerned about zone 2 and all the magical benefits that come along for the ride. So there's a common mistake that happens. People go on a weight loss journey, they do lots of high intensity cardio, they might do a HIIT session, they might get back into running because once upon a time they did some running. A friend might invite them along to a BFT or an F45 session, high intensity, high heart rate stuff. Now, you are burning energy and it would feel tough, but if you're on low calories in a weight loss journey, there is a chance that if you do that week in, week out, you can burn muscle, essentially just get rid of it. Anyone wanting to lose body fat, lose weight, doesn't want to lose muscle, they just want to lose body fat. So this is actually something what we want to avoid, which is another reason why we want to sustain in zone 2, because in this zone, we are essentially utilizing fats as the fuel source. So when you're doing like your steps during the day or you achieve 10,000 steps all the way up until zone 2, very low states, we are just utilizing fats and oxidizing fat, meaning we're getting rid of the adipose tissue on our body and using it as fuel. Fourth reason, mental health improvement, a boost. Reduction in anxiety. You feel epic once you start to do this much cardio in a week, and actually during the session as well. I feel it myself, very anxiety reducing, puts you in a very good state of mind, and if this becomes a daily practice, can have huge benefits on your mental health. Fifth reason, and probably the coolest reason, and where we're going to get a lot of buy-in from anyone watching this, mitochondria improvement. What is mitochondria? It's referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. So essentially, you as a human right now, lots of things have to go on in the body. And if we're concerned about fat loss, there are processes that have to happen for that to occur. Currently, likely if you're watching this video, you can think of yourself as a garage lawnmower. Now, if we want to turn you from a garage lawnmower into a Ferrari within a few months, we need to sustain a lot of minutes in zone 2, week in, week out. The research shows somewhere like 3 sessions trying to get to about 150 minutes per week, which is extremely doable. So the TLDR, you just get better at burning fats and more efficiently. So person A is in a 500 calorie deficit. They hit 10,000 steps a day. Person B, same thing, same deficit, same steps, except of those steps, they do 30 minutes of zone 2 cardio per day. This person over time is going to turn into a Ferrari. They're going to start to burn and lose fat at a better and higher rate. This person's still going to do very good, except what would you like to be? Would you like to be a garage lawnmower or a Ferrari? It also improves not just your fat burning capabilities, but your fitness during training and your ability to train. So while we're losing fat, we actually get better at growing muscle and sustaining our training efforts, our weightlifting efforts. So there are so many sub-benefits apart from the fact that you're more easily getting into a deficit that day. If you were low on steps and you need to get them up, what better way to get more steps in a shorter period of time? And then there's all these trickling benefits that just turn you into a fat losing machine. It shouldn't actually work this way. A lot of people, cardio, frick that. I don't want to do that. I feel like vomiting. Nah, I'm not doing cardio. That's what people say to me. I'm not doing it. And I used to say that myself because my perception of cardio was going for a run and wanting to vomit, someone taking you to this HIIT class and you're just out of breath. Other people are adapted to it and you're like, why am I here? I shouldn't be doing this. That is a perception of cardio. So that's true if you do it that way. But once you start doing it this way and you lose a bunch of fat, get really fit, you are going to start to love cardio. Just like me, it happened to me myself and happens to all my clients. So shall we? Here is what we want to do. How do we get into our week and how do we do it? So first you're going to pick your favorite modality. My modality of choice is the elliptical, the cross trainer. Reason being is because it is no impact. You just glide there. With running, lots of ground contacts, even if you're jogging. With the elliptical, you're just floating there. And you can set your phone up on the machine at the gym. Same with all these other machines. You can watch a show. I often watch a podcast. So while you're turning into a fat loss machine, you can read, listen to an audiobook, listen to a podcast, learn some stuff, catch up on Stranger Things, rewatch Breaking Bad, whatever you want to do. Watch more of my YouTube videos. It's not taxing on the body. It's very easy. I myself, as mentioned, do 50 minutes a day, and I can easily do that every day. Other low impact options are the assault bike, normal bike, the rower, and another common one my clients do is the incline treadmill walk. Walking's not quite enough to lift your heart rate up into zone 2. Maybe if you go for a walk around your block where there are some hills, you can get it done. But if you're at the gym, you need to slightly incline it so that a heart rate increases into the preferred range. Running only if you are an experienced runner. So people who are already quite fit and are very good at running, they can actually get to a point where they can sustain a jog in a zone 2 range. Pretty much everyone watching this or starting, if you start to run, your heart rate will just jack up past into zone 3 and 4, even if you're jogging. So how do we get into zone 2? What we're going to do is we are going to use 2 methods and we're going to combine them so that we can ensure that we are in zone 2 and getting all of the benefits. Number 1 is ventilatory threshold point 1. Now there's 3 of these, so they are easy to distinct. Now if we look at this little table here, we can see that there are 5 zones and we are after zone 2. You can see at the start of zone 2 is 60% max heart rate, which I'll go over in a second. That's number 2. And then at the end, right at the end of zone 2 is ventilatory threshold point number 1. So we don't want to go past that. If we go past that point, we're into zone 3 and above. That's bringing on too much fatigue. It's not the point of this type of cardio. It's not bad, but we don't want to sustain a lot of minutes above that. And there's a really good way of finding out if we are there, and it's called the talk test. A lot of people might have heard of this before. If you're on the elliptical and you're going along and you feel like you got a good cadence going, a good rhythm, just imagine, or like better yet, get a friend and chat to them next to you. If you can hold a conversation pretty much the entire time, then you can be sure that you're in zone 2. If you're going along and you're like, you just cannot get a full sentence out, that means you're above that threshold point number 1. And we want to bring the intensity and the cadence back down until you're back into zone 2. What I recommend for people is to go at a nice, easy pace. Be like, yes, I'm definitely inside zone 2, but I do encourage people to sort of lift it up so they can find that upper end and they can see and get really aware of that point where the breath changes and you wouldn't be able to speak. It's very distinct. And once you're aware of that point, I'm going to become aware of where is just under there. You don't want to be in and out. You just want to be just under there. Sometimes when I'm by myself, I'll have headphones on, be watching a podcast, and I'll do a little check with myself. No one will be next to me, but I will just start speaking out loud and see if I can maintain a conversation. You can just sort of whisper under your voice and check if you can maintain a conversation. It's a good check. Method number 2 is heart rate range. So if we go back to this table, we can see at the start of zone 2 is 60% of max heart rate. And then around about, it's not exactly, but around about the threshold point number 1 would be like 70% max heart rate. How do we find this out? We just times 0.6 times our max heart rate, and then we times 0.7 times our max heart rate, and then we would have our range. Dylan, how do I find out max heart rate? What we do is we take the number 220 and we minus off our age, and that will give you your max heart rate. Then you just multiply that number by 60% and 70%. That'll give you your range, and you want to stay within there. Cool. I've told you both points. The last thing is to mix these together. So what we want to do is use the talk test, see where that ventilatory threshold point number 1 is, get used to it, and then like look at your heart rate. If it's sort of hovering at or just above that 70% upper threshold, that's okay. Use the talk test. What we want to do here is over time get more aware of what our heart rate is doing during these workouts. So if I'm like slightly over, I don't panic because I go back to the number 1, which is the talk test. There are many things that can affect heart rate, just the states of our body, the weather, etc., even though often we'll be inside. But there are things that affect heart rate. It can be different, but we can still use it as a guide and a range. But always coming back to the predominant number 1 method, which is the talk test. If you were going to use the heart rate, you would just look at your watch as you are going through this workout. And then if it increases over, you just drop back the tempo until you've landed back into that range, and you just want to sustain the minutes of this workout in there. So once you've worked this out, and after like many sessions, you get much more aware of these points, you'll probably find like a particular cadence that you can sort of sit at, and you get really aware of it. I can notice that if I'm under recovered or lots of training recently, just different points in the week, where I'll sit with that cadence can come up and down slightly. If I'm really fresh, I might be able to hold a zone 2 a little higher. And if I'm less recovered, might be a little lower. So you just want to stay in that talk test level. Lastly, another thing to add into this is you need to figure out where it's going to go into your week. So if I was to give an order of preference, especially for fat loss clients, the first one would be in a fasted state. So first thing in the morning, I myself wake up, just come straight to the gym and do my 50 minutes of zone 2. Then I have a shower at the gym and start my day. You might be able to incorporate that yourself if you're already a morning gym person. You can look on Facebook Marketplace to get a secondhand piece of cardio equipment for home. Treadmills are super common to get at home now. You can go for a fast walk around your area in the morning. Second preference would be after a weightlifting session. So once you do your weights, you can then do your minutes of cardio post weight training. Next would be before any meal. So that's when you're in the most fasted state. And then lastly, just any time of the day that you can fit it in. Another little bonus is post-dinner. Once you've eaten, let yourself rest and digest. And then if you can go for a 10-minute walk post-dinner, it doesn't even have to be zone 2. It can just be fast walk. Really lowers the blood sugar down and gets your body in a state to burn some more fat while you're sleeping. Once you've identified where to get it in the week, so it might be every morning for you for 20 minutes, or might be after each gym session. It might be on Saturdays I do an hour, and then on Mondays and Wednesdays I can fit 10 minutes in here. Find your system where you can put these pockets of time and then apply it each week. Now that everyone is going to get shredded, please let me know if you need any help. if you have any questions, or just let me know that you're now shredded.